what we've been doing at Four Walls is both Charles and I have architecture backgrounds, both graduated from SciArc, and what we've been trying to do is integrate digital media with the physical form. And that's brought us, we've been doing a lot more media design and environmental media, and a lot of times historically those projects take place on a screen in large spaces, and what we're interested in doing is taking that media from the screen to an actual produced form. So in that sense, making the media more of an integrated piece of the environment and creating more of an experience. The concept for this is basically the deployment of generative systems to create a digitally augmented interactive vehicle interface. And so here we're using scripting procedures to generate form explicitly. This is just a concept image showing how the interface could accumulate as it moves to the left. So you could see basically these would be parts of the door, the frame by the door. And as the interface moves towards the driver, it accumulates in terms of a certain density. And the information the cells are a little bit larger in this case so that the information can be more legible. So this is actually, in terms of our proposal, this was one of our, or at least one of my favorite proposals. It's both linear and cellular, and I think this idea of a hybrid forms is something that I think is an interesting proposal for an interface, because you have both the ability to have cellular items for an interface and this idea of a linear structure that they're embedded within. So you can have forms moving from the side in a linear fashion and then accumulate into cells. And so this is another example of layering, and here we're layering two different types of geometries. So again, if you reach through this particular hole and you want to kind of rub your fingers across that, it would generate, for example, a texture that was played out on the layer above it. Right? We're interested in the logic between the interface and the form. So this one's a tessellated form, and Delaney triangulation, I believe, and just a script that kind of plays out based on different scales of triangulation. I think this can be developed a lot further. You can see there's not that much scale difference here. There should probably be more scale difference. The idea is that you would have larger scales at the area of the interface, so in this area, and then as you moved out, in this case the scales actually get larger, but there would be a kind of a gradient between the two. Okay, so for the honeycomb project that we're working on with Parker, basically what we're looking to do is upscale some of the work that we were doing on the original car dash project and bring it into a more architectural scale, so that we could look at how an interface might work at in an environmental condition, and essentially just upscale some of the ideas and bring them into both 3 dimensions and 2 dimensions. So in this particular project, we're looking at how something like shape memory or some type of an active surface could be triggered to come at the user in a certain way, and just trigger that, in a sense, let them know that it becomes alive at that point. So it comes out in 3 dimensions, and then also it activates in 2 dimensions. So what we've been looking at in some of the projects is examples of generative form, again collaborating with other people who work on Voronoi, tessellated scripting for Rhino, for Maya. And the idea there is that the generative forms are
are produced in the computer using code, and we're using similar code to generate the interface, the logic of the interface. So that in the case of the automobile interface design, the actual interface itself is based on a logic of adaptability and kind of a generative logic in terms of the user. It changes and it adapts. So we're looking at different formal techniques that use that same logic. And that's the kind of sense that we try to carry out in the project. So the digital media and the form itself are related in terms of the logic or a technique for production.